we just had the Miami Grand Prix. I think technically it's the United States Grand Prix. I'm going to call it the Miami Grand Prix. I don't know the official name. It was in Miami. It was interesting somewhat. In fact, actually, I would argue most of the race was kind of uneventful. Like on lap number 9, Max Verstappen passed Charles Leclerc for first place, and that's about all that happened in the first 47 laps. I mean, there was a couple of times that Fernando Alonso bumped other people, stuff like that. But, Max Verstappen won the race. He got fastest lap. Charles Leclerc got second. Carlos Sainz got third to round out the podium. It was Red Bull, then 2 Ferraris. Sergio Perez got fourth. George Russell got fifth. Lewis Hamilton got sixth. And Valtteri Bottas got seventh. I'm not really interested in the other finishers. I want to remind you, though, that Max Verstappen at this point in the year, 5 races in, he's 3 for 3. All 3 races that Max Verstappen has been able to finish, he's won. So it's looking more and more like, hey, the reason why, reliability was a big problem for Red Bull early on. They've been reliable recently, and Max keeps winning over and over and over again. And in the battle between Max and Charles Leclerc, Max, more often than not, has more pace. So I think at this point it's looking favorable that in the long run, Max is going to win this battle between Max Verstappen and Charles Leclerc. Like, there was a couple moments I thought that, Lando Norris crashed near the end of the race. It led to a safety car. It brought the pack together. It felt like there was an opportunity where Charles Leclerc might be able to make a move and pass Max Verstappen, and then he couldn't. Actually, there was no lead change in the first 4 drivers. It was always the whole time Max, Charles Leclerc, Carlos Sainz, and then Sergio Perez. And it just appears like Max is going to have better pace all year. I mean, I'm waiting for some kind of change to happen because right now Red Bull's faster in the straights and he's got more pace than Charles Leclerc, and he's won every single battle head-to-head when they've got an opportunity. McLaren had a horrible weekend. They struggled with pace. They were not in the top 10 for most of it. Daniel Ricciardo got P13. Lando Norris did not finish. He crashed and wasn't in the top 10 either, though. So no points for McLaren. That really hurts them. It's cool to see Valtteri Bottas legitimately competing with the Mercedes cars. He lost out. He had a moment where he had the lead on both of them. He went wide. Both Mercedes passed him. But the fact that in an Alfa Romeo car, Valtteri Bottas is legitimately competing with a Mercedes at all is super cool to see that. Now, Jaden wrote in on Patreon, as you can. Jaden says, George Russell is Mercedes' best driver. It's a hot take. You could almost just say scoreboard, though. George Russell's got 59 points in 5 races. Lewis Hamilton only has 36. Lewis is getting outperformed. And George Russell's been in the top 5 of every race this year. And I keep waiting and waiting and waiting for Lewis to turn it on. Still waiting. Lewis has been struggling with the car. George is handling it a lot better. And it's a question worth asking. Is George Russell the best driver on the Mercedes team? We're getting to the point 5 races in now where it's really worthy of asking. You're like, the more evidence we're getting, the more it appears to be pointing at George being the better driver. And how much of that, how could this have happened before? Was Lewis kind of allowed to be dominant over Valtteri Bottas and Valtteri not really allowed to challenge Lewis? Does that make sense? Like, he was the clear number 1 driver, and Mercedes never allowed Valtteri to really show what he was capable of, in my opinion. And I guess that's not really fair, because there were times where Valtteri just really couldn't make any moves from the back and couldn't pass people. So maybe that's not quite fair to say, but I just go back to it. George right now looks a lot better than Lewis. And I will say, is it part of this discussion happening because Lewis Hamilton is just a really good villain in Formula One? Like, he's dominated for so long, so people love to hate on him. Is that possible? Like, I want to be careful that we don't lose respect for Lewis Hamilton while we're having this conversation, because certainly he's incredible. Now, I'm an American. My country regularly makes me cringe a little bit with some of the stuff that goes on. definitely the post-race stuff that went on after the Grand Prix in Miami, it made me cringe. You know, Willie T. Ribbs giving really awkward interviews that I'm like, what are you? First of all, I don't even know. It was a bad fit. I don't think Willie T. Ribbs should have been interviewing anyone. It didn't really make sense. I didn't know why we needed to force American culture onto Formula One. They've got like football helmets on the podium, got a police escort to the podium. I don't know if that was necessary. And maybe it was, but did they have to blast the sirens? I guess. I don't know. Like, why the sirens? The podium was far away, though, so maybe they had to make that. I don't know. There was a lot of, like, forced Americanism on this F1 event, and I don't think Miami's the best symbol of America. Like, I don't know. I don't know. Like, man, really? We got to make them wear football helmets? Why? Why? I was kind of, like, annoyed by that stuff. Let it be what it is. We don't need to change Formula One. I don't know. After the race, here are the driver standings. Charles Leclerc is still number one in Formula One. He's got 104 points for Ferrari. Red Bull driver Max Verstappen is second in Formula One with 85 points, getting closer and closer. Sergio Perez is third in Formula One with 66 points. George Russell is in fourth with 59 points, and Carlos Sainz is in fifth with 53 points. Charles Leclerc, Max Verstappen, Sergio Perez, George Russell, and then Carlos Sainz. In the constructors' standings, the team standings for Formula One, you got Ferrari in first with 157 points. Red Bull is in a very close second right now with 151 points. They are challenging Ferrari greatly. Mercedes is in third with 95 points. For a while, I thought they were going to have a tough battle with McLaren. McLaren is falling behind. McLaren is in fourth with 46 points, and then Alfa Romeo is in fifth with 31 points, and Alpine is in sixth with 26 points. Look, this battle, Charles Leclerc and Max Verstappen, Red Bull versus Ferrari, it's the highlight of Formula One. And how outstanding and incredible is it to have two teams and two drivers battling so heavily for first in F1? I love it. I'm so grateful for it. And y'all better enjoy it because it is certainly a lot of fun to watch.